Hey guys, Mark here with another fragrance review. Today is my Valentine's Day special. For all of you out there, hopefully you are enjoying your Valentine's Day with your special lady, special man, or if you're a little lonely out there and you're all by yourself, that's okay. I feel your pain. You can watch my video while eating Cheetos. But today is a special fragrance day. I decided to go with one of my Valentine's Day specials, one of my fragrances that I usually go for during the Valentine's Day, and this one is from the house of by Kilian. Now this is actually my very first fragrance review on a by Kilian fragrance, and of course I wanted to go with something that correlates with Valentine's Day, and of course the one that actually got to my nose and got to the by Kilian house for me. My very first purchase from the house is of course Back to Black. So really a special fragrance in my heart, a great Valentine's Day fragrance. I know a lot of people love to wear rose-based fragrances. This one really does make me think of Valentine's Day. I wore it a few times during Valentine's, so really a special fragrance for me. So now, since this is my very first stab at a by Kilian fragrance review, we'll get into this introduction with a little bit of background on the fragrance house itself, and then of course a little bit about the juice. So by Kilian, if you're not too sure about the fragrance house, they were founded back in 2007, so they're a relatively new company to the niche game. Kilian Hennessy, of course, is the founder of the brand. His family is, of course, known for the brand Hennessy, of course, because of his last name. It's a cognac company, if you're not too sure. They merged with Moet not too long ago, and of course, also a part of Louis Vuitton. So they're known as one of the biggest and richest companies in the world. Really a huge brand, and Kilian is doing his own thing in the fragrance game. By Kilian was a line, honestly guys, when I first sniffed by Kilian's fragrances, I never really felt much love to the brand. Being 100% honest with you guys, when I smelled the whole brand, I was like, eh. I purchased Back to Black. It was the only one really that attacked my nose, and I was like, I gotta have this. The rest of them, I was like, no. A lot of them felt unisex, and most of them actually felt really feminine to me, really towards the female market more than the men's market. No real huge manly fragrance in the by Kilian line, really more female based. I have since changed my mind. As you can see, there's a few by Kilians behind me here. I still think this is probably the crown jewel of the by Kilian house. Back to Black is actually a part of the L'Oeuvre Noire collection, and it is the 8th release of the series. It's arguably the best release from the house. Personally, if you're going to ask me, there's a few behind me here that are really solid. I got Apple Brandy coming to me in the mail, and I hear really good things about Apple Brandy, but I really think if you want to start in the by Kilian house, start here. Back to Black is awesome. Awesome stuff. Great stuff. Apparently was paid homage to Amy Winehouse's second album, Back to Black. I'm not sure, to be honest, how truthful that is. There's many bloggers online right now that are thinking this, but I never saw anything from Kilian himself that said that it was a homage to Amy Winehouse's album, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Back to Black hit the shelves back in 2009. The Parfumé, the nose behind this fragrance, is Calice Becker. Calice has done many fragrances for Kilian, known of course for Amber Oud, which is behind me here, Taste of Heaven, which is also behind me, Pure Oud, Rose Oud, among others. So guys, let's get into my Valentine's Day special review. Let's take a look into Back to Black. Alright guys, let's take a look at presentation for Back to Black. First and foremost, let's take a look at, of course, bottle sizes. As you can see here, this one's the 50 ml, the 1.7 ounce bottle. You can also get the mega big fragrance fountain, which is 1 liter. Her fellow reviewer got one of those, Frankinator. He got a fragrance fountain from by Kilian. They can do that for you, arrange that for you. Also, they have, of course, travel sprays, purse sprays, refillable bottles. Also, you can get, these are refillable, by the way. and there's refills available that anybody can actually buy. So if you don't want this presentation, you don't care about presentation, you can get a 50 ml refill. I think those round up for 135 bucks, so you'll save a little bit of cash there. But yeah, these you can screw off the top here and refill your bottle if you wish to do so. So these are great for that. And pricing, give or takes $125 to $225 to purchase Back to Black if you wish to do so. Of course, the fragrance fountain's a little more than that, of course. Now these are, of course, EDPs. Now it comes in this big coffin. This surrounds the coffin. It's like a velvet casing here that you can just wrap around the box if you wish to do so, so it doesn't scratch. It's got like a nice EDP by Kilian Aphrodisiac, 50 mils, gives you a little bit of information on here. Also, it comes with a key. Yes, these coffins do lock. The keys do work, just to let you guys know. There's a little key here, and you just insert it in here. And it's got a pamphlet of L'Oeuvre Noire and all this information here. The coffin itself, very nice presentation. You got the K there. Really nice. You got some detail here. Beautiful box, to be honest. The key goes right in here, of course, and it'll lock. And a beautiful pillow presentation here for your bottle. And some velvet up top. So really, really outstanding. You pay for the presentation, I'll tell you that right now. Now, the bottle itself, I love these. Really beautiful. You got the plaque here, Back to Black by Kilian Aphrodisiac. You got the K on the top of the cap. The caps are really nice. They got some weight to them, and they stay on really, really well. You almost have like a grip here on each side of the bottle here. Kind of has that embossed like feel. Really, really nice. And of course painted black on here so the juice doesn't get hit by sunlight. Really smart idea, really nice. These bottles have some heft to them, really nice. And let's waste the sprayer or not. Let's put it on my hand. Sprayers are decent. Really good sprayer. So guys, let's get to the review of Back to Black. Alright guys, let's take a look at the notes. Let's go split screen, baby. And as you can see beside me here, Back to Black is a complex fragrance. There's a lot of notes in this fragrance, so you're going to smell a lot of things in this one. The big notes for me that really popped in Back to Black, this is a honey-based fragrance, so you're going to have a lot of honey, that honeyed sweetness that I absolutely love. This is actually one of the best in the game as far as that honey sweetness. There's tobacco, that's a big note, raspberry off the top, and vanilla, so you're going to get some sweetness also in this fragrance. So let's sniff out Back to Black. I'm going to let you guys know, I'm going to dissect this sucker and let you guys know what I think about this fragrance and what it actually smells like from top to bottom. So let's sniff it out. In this introduction, the first thing that hits me is that blended honeyed sweetness. Off the bat, it's that honey with a little touch of raspberry. The raspberry is a really welcoming, a beautiful secondary note. I love these type of darker fragrances that kind of throw in like a raspberry or a berry note, kind of like Tuscan Leather's got that berry note thrown in. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love introductory notes like that that kind of gives you like a berry note to throw you off. Really, really nice. And really gives this introduction really lots of punch. The honey is your primary note in Back to Black, and it's going to be huge in the introduction and in, of course, the dry down of this fragrance. It's really sublime, to say the least. One of the best in the game. It's a full-bodied honey that really only a handful of scents can really pull off for me. It's sticky, it's sweet, it's authentic, and at times kind of takes over the scent, but also plays well with the other notes in this fragrance. I love notes like this that, you know, it's the major note in the fragrance, but it doesn't take over the fragrance, that it muffles a lot of the notes in the fragrance. It actually kind of gives way, but still tells you it's the boss, and the honey really does this. Really great stuff. Now you'll get the powder in this scent. Now if you don't like powdery scents, this might not be for you guys. There's a lot of powder in here. But if you should sniff one powdery scent in your fragrance journey, I gotta say that this is probably the one that you should check out as far as a powdery scent. Now the powder's always really there, almost thin, and covers the rest of the scent. I wouldn't say it's really thick. There's a bit of spices here to give it some kick, and there's some soft tobacco coming through early here. But you're gonna have a much larger role the tobacco in the dry down of this fragrance. So really the major notes in this introduction is gonna have to be the raspberry, the powder, and of course that smooth honey note in here. So I felt the powder was just enough to complement the other notes, and the sweetness in here is not artificial, like candy-like. It's comes mostly from, of course, the honey, so it's going to have that drizzled honey feel in this fragrance all the way through. I can see where this intro may come off a little feminine to some users, and just because, of course, you have honey, you got powder, you got some fruits as central notes in this introduction. The tobacco's not really kind of manning this thing up yet, so I could see this introduction coming off a little feminine to some fragrances. So really take note of that before walking away from this one. I felt a little bit of almond here paired with some saffron, the vanilla, which kind of round out the secondary notes in this introduction. Really, the almond honey vanilla combo will give Back to Black more of a milky almond-like feeling at the end of this introduction, coming out of the dry down. Really, really nice. Now, it's not all feminine for the men out there. Back to Black will give a little more of a masculine feel once we hit the dry down. But here in the intro, you can feel some of the spices, the tobacco, which are going to be main factors in this dry down, and the tonka and the backbone of this fragrance. Back to Black has many layers, as you can tell, and it's a complex scent. Also, from the get-go, you can feel the comfort or the between the sheets factor of this fragrance. Once I smelt this, and you're like 10 minutes into this fragrance, you can really feel the seductive manner of Back to Black. Really an outstanding introduction, to be honest. Now let's get into the dry down of Back to Black, and to be honest, it keeps on giving, this fragrance. It truly improves with more wearings, and the deeper you get into the scent, the more layers you're going to start peeling from Back to Black, and you're going to see the total picture of this fragrance. A lot of times when I first started wearing this fragrance, I was thinking, oh, this is a powdery bomb, there's a lot of honey. You know, you're only getting a small layer of this fragrance, but once you start wearing it more and more, you're going to see these layers coming through. I truly enjoyed the dry down to Back to Black much more than the introduction. From this day on, really I love once this starts warming up a little bit. Really great. Now, some users call this scent a tobacco-based scent. I think it's more of a honey-based scent, to be honest. Tobacco is a central note of the fragrance, don't get me wrong. And it does really come up a little bit more here in the dry down, but it never really took over the scent, in my opinion. It's very tame and light, but it's kind of like a backbone of Back to Black, never really a central theme to the fragrance. The real star is, of course, the honey, and it truly shines from start to finish. The tobacco is lightly smoky. It's going to remind you of a pipe tobacco, and at times I felt a small cherry pipe tobacco vibe going on. The woods are also faint, but they do play a solid role in Back to Black, just like the spices, the patchouli, the cedar, the cardamom, coriander, saffron, among others. They did play a very small role to give even more depth to this scent. There's a lot of depth, there's a lot of layers. There's some small faint smoke coming from the Back to Black in the dry down, and again, I said I'm thinking that's from the tobacco. A lot of people are saying it's from incense in this fragrance, but it never really felt like incense to me. I believe it comes from that tobacco note. It almost kind of felt like some, you know how some leathery scents kind of have a faint smokiness to it? That's what it kind of felt in Back to Black. In the mid, it almost came off waxy at some parts of this fragrance, like kind of like a vanilla candle. The vanilla kind of popped off a little bit with the tonka. It felt kind of waxy at some wearings, and I hear that might be from the beeswax in the scent that brings that idea to my mind, which makes sense with that honey and the vanilla, the tonka. It kind of gives you like a waxy-like feel. Either way, it was a great play onto this scent. The chamomile tea comes off soft and added another feature, a little more depth to the fragrance. The scent here, overall a great ending to the fragrance. Really a absolute stud of a fragrance. I absolutely love this one. My favorite from the by Kilian house. Welcome to the overview of Back to Black. From my first sniff of this fragrance way back when I first purchased it to this day, you can really feel when you first sniff this fragrance, when you first spray it on, the seductive manner of this fragrance. Very seductive fragrance, luxurious, mouth-watering honey note, and of course a nice secondary dry tobacco note in this fragrance. Back to Black is a fragrance that really has two factors to it that not a lot of fragrance can pull off. This fragrance, on one side of the coin, is a real comfort scent for me in the cooler months. A close quarter scent per se. It has a seductive manner to it. So if I'm staying in with my wife, Back to Black could be one of those that, you know, if I want to get some, Back to Black could be one of those. But also on the other side of the coin, it's as close as a tuxedo scent that I've smelled. It's one of those that if I'm wearing my best suit, or, you know, I'm wearing a tuxedo, I'm going to a wedding, I'm going to something really important, this is one of those scents that would be in the list as far as what I'm going to be wearing as far as the scent goes. It can be worn at a high-class event, or it can be in the bedroom. One of those fragrances that really does both ends of the spectrum really, really well. Even though Back to Black is mostly known for its honey and tobacco notes, I believe this is the king of powdery scents. When I'm thinking powder, this one comes to mind. If you have to try a powdery scent, again, I gotta implore you to try this one. This is the one that you have to try. It's not all about the powder, of course. The honey is the major factor in this fragrance. There's a lot of powder coming off this fragrance though. So you gotta be warned, but also don't skip it just because you heard the words powdery out of my mouth. It has this allure to this fragrance. Like, some fragrances have that allure to them. In the designer game, I could think of a couple fragrances that kind of have that, you know, like La Nuit de l'Homme, D'Autumn Intense. They have like that warming quality, but really have that alluring quality to them. This is kind of like the higher end of those La Nuit de l'Hommes, D'Autumn Intense, those type of fragrances. This is the higher end stuff of it. Now, I think some may take this one as a overly feminine fragrance, since the powder, of course, there's a huge dose of honey and some fruity aspects. So the people that think Chergui is kind of feminine, you might think that this one's feminine. So just be warned about that. Back to Black honestly reminds me of a beautiful woman with a little bit of a bad side to her. You know, she's in bed waiting for you. She's got black lace on, smoking a cigar, just waiting for you. That's what kind of Back to Black is for. Now, I felt while wearing this in the high heat, I've encountered many problems with Back to Black in the high heat. Again, I try this in every single type of weather, and this thing in the high heat is just a powder bomb. I'm telling you. I kind of usually put this one away once it starts getting warmer. So I like to wear this one in the fall and the winter. Once spring hits, once a little bit of heat comes in, out of there. Just so much powder. People are getting powdery out of this fragrance like crazy when it's hot out. Now, why would you hate this fragrance? The number one reason why people would hate this fragrance is that baby powder-like feel. It keeps coming up in reviews, and there's a reason why. It has a lot of powder to it. It'll come off feminine. Again, notes like honey and you know, that powderiness to this fragrance, and a little bit of fruits, you know, that raspberry, the cherry out of this fragrance. The tobacco is not really big and bold. That'll come in, and people won't like this type of fragrance. So kind of feminine. Sweetness, this one has some sweetness to it, so you gotta like your sweet fragrances. The pricing can be a factor. And cough syrup. Some people think it smells like cough syrup just because there's a cherry vibe in this fragrance. I really didn't feel it myself, but it was mentioned, so I'm going to put it in there. And can be linear to some. Yes, the overall picture of Back to Black, when I first started wearing this fragrance, it kind of felt linear to me. You know, it was the same theme. We got the fruits, you know, you got that raspberry, then it turns into cherry. You got the powder, you got the honey that stays throughout, and then the tobacco that kind of just uplifts itself a little bit in the dry down. But it's got many layers, so you got to wear it more and more to really peel these layers. So it can come out as linear to some as the overall picture. Awards. It's won many awards on my channel. It is one of my top scents overall. It's been in my fall and of course winter top niche list. In 2010 I made my fall niche top 10 at number 3, so high up there. The year after, in the fall, made my top 10 again at number 7, and then in 2011 again made my winter niche top 20 at number 11. So really one of my best fragrances, to be honest. Group, this is an oriental woody fragrance. Some can say that it is a tad gourmandish. A recommended age, I really think this one, first and foremost, unisex. Men and women can wear this, definitely. 25 and up, just because of the pricing and the type of fragrance we're looking at. 25 and up is a good age range. How many sprays and wear? I don't go too much with Back to Black. I really found out that 1 on the chest, 2 on the neck, and I'm set. 3 sprays, we're good to go. Less is more with Back to Black. This thing's almost bomb as far as projection and longevity, so really, really good at 3 sprays. Bottles. This reminds people of Pure Havane by Thierry Mugler. We got Chergui by Serge Lutens. Really, these type of fragrances are around the same genre as this, not the exact same. Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford, Dior Homme Intense, Dior Homme, kind of in that vibe. So if you like all these fragrances that I just named off, you're most likely going to like this one. Best time to wear this fragrance, black tie event, of course, tuxedo. If you're wearing a tuxedo, look at this, wedding day. Yes, this is the excellent wedding day scent. And what else? A date. Yeah, a date. This has a seductive manner to it. Great for the date. And Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody today. Yes, Valentine's Day scent, one of my favorites. Top 5 for Valentine's Day. I love wearing this one. Valentine's Day for sure. Compliment factor on this one, high. Now, if worn right, Back to Black has a high compliment factor. I'm telling you right now, bonkers, great stuff. Now, if worn wrong, or in the worn too many sprays, or it's warm, the number one culprit of Back to Black when I was wearing this fragrance for years and years is powder bomb. That's what people are going to start saying. That's the one negative from this fragrance. You wear too much, it's a little warm out, you're wearing it in the office, people are going to start saying, who smells like baby powder? Yeah, that's all they're going to smell. So just to let you guys know. My 2 cents on Back to Black, it's a between the sheets type of scent. This and Musc Ravageur are head to head as number 1 for me in between the sheets. Classy enough for a wedding also. Has enough sexiness to it also to be worn for a night in with a woman. One of not too many scents that can really pull off the high-end tuxedo, and of course between the sheets. This is one of those great stuff. So let's go split screen. Let's go to the rating system. Let's rate Back to Black. Is this going to be a perfect 10 fragrance? I think so, but let's take a look. Projection. Back to Black's projection. I'm giving it 7 bottles out of 10. Moderate to high. It's not too loud. I think it's just perfect as far as projection goes. It's not going to kill anybody except in the high heat, and if you wear a lot of sprays it will, but projection's pretty good as far as a whole tail goes for this one. Longevity, 10 out of 10. I get 10 to 12 plus hours every given wearing. Back to Black's a beast as far as longevity. It's going to last. It's worth the money. Versatility, solid. I really think this one is versatile enough. I'm going to give it 8 bottles out of 10. Overall smell, this is unique and there's nothing out there that is like this, so this is going to be 10 bottles out of 10. Awesome stuff. Seasons, mostly fall and winter, then I tuck it away. Too much of a powder bomb in the heat. Overall, Back to Black gets a perfect 10. Yes, welcome to the perfect 10 club, Mr. Back to Black. And this goes to buy, try, or pass. Back to Black, I think, is one of the only by Kilians that should be a buy. This is an absolute stud. So guys, this is my review on Back to Black. Welcome to the Perfect 10 Club. Happy Valentine's Day. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching, YouTube.